Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is going to be a deep breakdown of Dogecoin's latest market situation. What is really happening behind the scenes? Why the price has dropped so sharply over the past month? And most importantly, what could come next for Doge holders and traders? We are going to cover everything in a clear, simple, and detailed way, so even if you are not an expert in crypto, you will understand exactly what is going on in the market right now. So let's get straight into it. This video is for informational purposes only and is not financial advice. Always do your own research or consult a professional before making any investment decisions. Over the past month, Dogecoin has gone through a very strong correction phase. The price has dropped by more than 25%, and at the time of analysis, it is hovering around the $0.083 level. This is a significant drop, especially considering how fast the move happened and how important the broken levels were for short-term stability. What makes this situation even more important is not just the price drop itself, but the fact that Dogecoin has now broken below multiple key support zones that traders were actively watching closely. When a major cryptocurrency loses support levels like this, it often signals that market sentiment is shifting from confidence to caution. And that is exactly what we are seeing right now. In the last 24 hours, Dogecoin has also seen additional pressure, falling nearly 4 to 5% in a single day. During this move, the price action showed a clear intraday range where Doge reached a high near $0.091 and dropped as low as $0.083. By the end of the session, the price remained near the lower boundary of that range, which suggests that sellers maintained control throughout the day. Now, when we zoom out and look at the bigger picture, things become even more interesting and honestly more concerning for bullish traders. Over the past week, Dogecoin has fallen close to 13%. And if we go even further back, the yearly performance shows a decline of more than 50%. This kind of long-term weakness tells us one important thing. Dogecoin is not just facing a short-term correction. It is going through a broader downtrend phase where recovery attempts are getting rejected and sellers are consistently dominating rallies. One of the most important psychological and technical levels that has been discussed recently is the 10-cent zone. For a long time, this level acted as a strong support area where buyers stepped in multiple times. Every time Dogecoin approached that region in the past, we saw some form of bounce or stabilization. However, once the price broke below 10 cents, the entire structure of the market changed. In technical analysis, when a strong support level breaks, it often flips into resistance. This means that instead of buyers defending the area, sellers start using it as an exit zone. And that is exactly what has happened here. After losing the 10-cent level, Dogecoin started trading in a weaker structure, gradually sliding lower as buyers failed to regain control. This breakdown also triggered additional selling pressure from traders who were using leverage or trading derivatives, which often amplifies price movements in crypto markets. At the current stage, Dogecoin's market capitalization is still around the multi-billion-dollar range, keeping it among the top cryptocurrencies by market value. It also continues to have a massive circulating supply of over 154.52 billion Doge, which is important to understand because supply dynamics play a major role in long-term price behavior. Unlike Bitcoin, which has a fixed supply cap, Dogecoin continues to introduce new coins into circulation through mining rewards. This means that for price to increase significantly over time, demand must continuously grow fast enough to absorb the new supply entering the market. When demand slows down, this inflation-like structure can add extra pressure on price performance. Now let's move into the most important part of this analysis, which is technical outlook and trader sentiment. Recently, several analysts have highlighted important support and resistance zones for Dogecoin. One key level that was closely watched was around the $0.088 area. This was considered an important short-term support, where buyers were expected to defend the price and potentially trigger a bounce. Some analysts even suggested that if Dogecoin held that level, it could attempt a recovery toward higher targets around 10 cents and possibly even 115 cents in a bullish scenario. The idea behind that prediction was simple. If support holds, momentum can shift upward again. However, the market did not respect that support level for long. Dogecoin eventually broke below it and continued moving downward toward the $0.083 range. This breakdown invalidated the short-term bullish structure and shifted market expectations toward further downside risk. Once a Q level like that fails, traders usually start looking for the next support zone. Based on previous market behavior, the next area of interest becomes lower levels where buyers might step in again. Some analysts have pointed toward deeper zones closer to the 7-cent to 6-cent range as potential long-term support areas if selling pressure continues. But it is important to understand that these are not guarantees. They are simply potential zones based on historical price reactions and market structure. Right now, Dogecoin is sitting at a very important decision point. The price is no longer in a strong bullish structure, but at the same time, it is also not in a complete freefall without pauses. There have been small recovery attempts along the way, but none of them have been strong enough to reclaim lost levels. And that is a key detail. In a healthy uptrend, even after corrections, price tends to reclaim broken resistance levels fairly quickly. But in Dogecoin's current situation, every bounce has been weaker than the previous one. That is usually a sign that momentum is still leaning bearish. Another important factor is market sentiment across the broader crypto space. Dogecoin does not move in isolation. It is heavily influenced by Bitcoin and overall market confidence. When the broader crypto market is under pressure, meme coins like Dogecoin tend to experience even sharper moves because they are more speculative in nature. This means that even if Dogecoin shows short-term strength, it still needs support from the overall crypto market to sustain any meaningful recovery. Now let's talk about trader behavior and psychology, because this plays a huge role in Dogecoin's movement. When prices are rising, Dogecoin tends to attract a lot of retail interest, social media hype, and momentum-driven buying. But when prices start falling, the same fast-moving sentiment often reverses. Traders exit positions quickly, fear increases, and volatility expands. This is exactly what we are seeing in the current phase. As Dogecoin broke key levels, more traders started reducing exposure. In derivatives markets, this often leads to liquidation-driven selling, which pushes the price even lower in a short period of time. At the same time, long-term holders are split into two groups. One group sees this as a buying opportunity, believing Dogecoin has strong community support and long-term potential. The other group is waiting for even lower prices, expecting that the correction is not finished yet. This disagreement between buyers and sellers creates what we call market indecision. And during indecision phases, prices often move unpredictably with sharp swings in both directions. Looking at the daily chart structure, Dogecoin has clearly been trending downward after losing the 10-cent level. Attempts to recover have been met with selling pressure, and every rally has been relatively short-lived. This shows that buyers are not yet strong enough to reverse the trend. Even when price briefly bounced from lower levels, it failed to reclaim previous support zones. This is an important technical sign because reclaiming lost levels is usually the first step in building a recovery trend. Without that, any bounce remains weak and temporary. So what happens next? There are a few possible scenarios. In a bullish recovery case, Dogecoin would need to stabilize above current levels and gradually reclaim the $0.088 and 10-cent zones. If that happens, it could open the door for a stronger recovery toward higher resistance areas. But this scenario requires a clear shift in momentum and stronger buying volume. In a neutral scenario, Dogecoin may continue moving sideways in a consolidation range between support and resistance levels. This would indicate that the market is trying to find balance before making its next major move. In a bearish continuation scenario, if selling pressure increases again and current support fails, Dogecoin could retest lower levels. This is where those deeper support zones around 7 cents or even lower come into discussion. At this stage, the market is not confirming any strong bullish reversal yet. Instead, it is still showing signs of weakness and uncertainty. To summarize everything clearly, Dogecoin has experienced a major correction over the past month, losing more than 25% of its value and breaking below key support levels that were previously holding the price stable. The current structure shows weakness, with sellers maintaining control and buyers struggling to reclaim important zones. However, despite the downside pressure, Dogecoin remains one of the most recognized cryptocurrencies in the world, supported by a large community and strong market presence. This means that while short-term volatility is high, long-term interest in the asset has not disappeared. The coming days and weeks will be very important. Traders will be watching whether Dogecoin can stabilize and build a base for recovery, or whether the downtrend will continue further into lower price zones. For now, caution remains the dominant theme in the market, and every move will be closely watched as Dogecoin approaches its next major decision point. That is it for today's analysis. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to stay updated because we will continue tracking Dogecoin's movement and bring you the latest updates as the market develops. Also, let me know in the comments, do you think Dogecoin is forming a bottom here? Or is another drop towards 7 cents still possible? Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss the next update. See you in the next one.